let's get started. Welcome back to Final Fantathon, our quest to casually let's play every mainline Final Fantasy game plus some bonuses. Welcome back, YouTube. We have had an amazing week this week. I got the sub 21 in Mega Man. We've been blasting a lot of work, a lot of practice into Mega Man, and it paid off. We had an amazing run this week. We've also finished Bloodstained this week, and we're working on that platinum, and that's really fun. We've had some good times with that. It's just been a really awesome week, but I have been looking forward to today, because 2 weeks ago, hey Duncan, thank you so much for the primer. 2 weeks ago, I said that I wanted to, I was like really excited to do this dungeon, because this is the dungeon that I remember from when I was a kid, and I was like, well, like 2 weeks ago I was excited to do the dungeon, and then last week we were going to spend the whole time doing this dungeon, but instead we got sidetracked, and we ended up doing the Chaos quest, which took the entire stream to do. So we didn't actually get to do much of this dungeon. So now I've been waiting like 2 weeks, excited for this dungeon, and now we finally get to do it. So we're going to spend like all day in this dungeon. We have a couple other things I want to do, but I'm going to focus on this dungeon and get as far as we can before it starts getting like too difficult to survive. So yeah, we're just going to collect orbs, kill bonies, and it's going to be a blast. And I just been, man, I look forward to Fridays so much. Like, I just love being with you guys and talking about Final Fantasy. Last week we had such an amazing conversation about the characters throughout the years, throughout the games, and I don't know, man. This really does mean so much to me. Thank you all so much for being here. I have a lot to talk about today because there was a Nintendo Direct yesterday, and I wasn't really expecting a lot out of the Nintendo Direct, but it was a pretty crazy, eventful Nintendo Direct, so we should talk about it. You have to give the gift of sub to Grim. First of all, it opened up with a Pikmin 4 trailer, which I didn't actually know if that was the first Pikmin 4 trailer or not. Does anyone know? I don't know if Pikmin 4 was already announced, or if that was like the actual first trailer of it, because I haven't been following Nintendo much lately. I feel like most people don't really care much about... There was a teaser before? Okay, so this is like our first like gameplay. A lot of people don't really care about Pikmin anymore. It feels more like Nintendo's project that they like really love, but isn't necessarily like a super big cultural thing anymore. However, those of you that know me and my past on YouTube, I am a huge fan of Pikmin. It's one of my favorite series. Even though I haven't even played... Ooh. Holy! Save. Go save. Go save. Go save right now. Save right now. Nope. Saving. We're saving. We're saving. We are saving. We are saving. So I'm a huge fan of Pikmin, even though I haven't even played Pikmin 3 yet. Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2 were my jam growing up. I even did challenge runs of them, like halfway speed runs of them. They were my absolute jam growing up. So I am a massive fan of the first two Pikmin games. So I was pretty excited to see Pikmin 4. The gameplay didn't look that, like, amazing, but there was some cool stuff. You get a dog friend that like follows you, which like, okay, Pikmin, but you also get a doggo, like, I'm sold. But no, it looked cool. It was cool to see, so that was that. Most people don't care about Pikmin, but I do. Then I don't really remember like the order of everything, so I'm just gonna kind of talk about stuff randomly because I don't remember exactly what the order was. But at the end, they talked about, or they showed another trailer for the Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom, and from what I saw, the reception to it was pretty lukewarm. People are still kind of worried that it's just Breath of the Wild 2 and like nothing else really, nothing's really grabbing people yet. And I kind of agree. Like, I'm not a Zelda guy, so take my word as, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But from what I understand, like, with Zelda, the big thing with Zelda is that every game is like massively different. Not in the way of like Final Fantasy, but it's always pushing the boundary. They don't make another Zelda until they can make one that's like really new and innovative. Even a game like Majora's Mask that kind of felt like Ocarina of Time 2, it had a big massive change with the time mechanic and everything. Then you have like Zelda 1 and Zelda 2, which are completely different, Zelda 2 and Zelda 3, which are completely different. And then after Ocarina of Time, they started doing different visual styles. Even like the mobile games, or not mobile, I always say mobile, handheld games tended to be pretty different, or at least have some kind of big mechanic that's different. Before they say, okay, we're going to make another Zelda. They don't want Zelda to be a derivative series. They don't want it to just be like, oh, here's the next Zelda. Like, they want the next Zelda to be a huge thing. And that kind of worries everyone about Tears of the Kingdom, because it looks like just Breath of the Wild 2, and there's nothing really standing out about it yet. And it's coming out, isn't it, like, soonish? Like, it's not really far off, right? So, yeah, it's just kind of, like, worrying that it's not groundbreaking. It definitely looks good, and I'm sure it will be good. But I guess people are just kind of worried about, like, why isn't it? Where's kind of the innovation? Where's the difference, right? The other thing that I saw people annoyed about was that it doesn't look like visually better or like have anything, like I said, innovative in it. And apparently it's been in development for like 6 years. Like, they've been working on this game for a very, very long time, and we're not really seeing the fruits of their labor. So that was another thing that people were like kind of worried about. But I mean, it still looks good. It's a Zelda game. I don't think it's going to be like bad, but just a little worrying that they still don't really have much to show. The trailer was pretty just him flying around and using the same powers we already know he gets. People are also memeing about him on the car and saying that it's like Zelda nuts and bolts because of the Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts game, where they just basically put Banjo-Kazooie in a car game and then kind of looks similar with Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. I'm sure it won't be, but that was the meme I saw going around, was Legend of Zelda nuts and bolts. So anyways, that was that. Then we had an announcement that is pretty important in our neck of the woods, which is the Advance Wars remaster. So I heard something really interesting, and I don't know how much truth there is to this. But, so basically with the Advance Wars 1 and 2 remaster, or remake, I should say, it was supposed to come out a year ago. And it got delayed twice. It got delayed once for like 2 months, I think it was. And then it got delayed like indefinitely. We had no idea if they were even still making it. And I had wondered why. Like, it doesn't seem like that big of a project. They literally just put 1 and 2, the maps. Like, they redid, you know, the UI and everything, because those were handheld games, Game Boy games. So I was like, what could be possibly like pushing it back that much? But I had heard that it was actually because of world events. Yeah, it was because of the wars going on. And there's a Russian antagonist in the game, so it would have been in very bad taste to release a game with a Russian antagonist at that time. So, like, that makes sense. But they pushed it back indefinitely, probably because they just didn't know when world events would cool down. But it was at the Direct, and they have a release date now. It's, I think I wrote it down, April 21st. So it's coming out, April 21st, hopefully. So that's exciting. For those of you that don't know, I speedrun Advance Wars Dual Strike. I have the world record in it currently. But that game is not part of that. Dual Strike is the game that came out after Advance Wars 1 and 2 on the DS. But Advance Wars 2 is a really, really amazing game. Advance Wars 1 is okay, but it's pretty dated. Advance Wars 2 is really where the series hit it big. And I think if you add some of the quality of life stuff in Advance Wars 2 to Advance Wars 1, Advance Wars 1 could also be a really good game. So I'm really excited for 1 too. I think it's going to be really good. And visually it looks really good, so very excited about that. And glad it has another release date, hopefully a real release date this time. Then, let's talk about the big one. So, this trailer starts, and it shows Metroid Prime. And everyone's like, okay, are we finally getting the highly anticipated, decade-long anticipation of Metroid Prime 4? Is this like a... Are you going to show us the history of the series and then be like, boom, Metroid Prime 4, finally, officially, in development? But then it just keeps showing Metroid Prime 1. And I'm like, okay. And then it says it's Metroid Prime 1 remastered. And I'm like, hold up. Didn't we already do Metroid Prime 1 remastered? It's called Metroid Trilogy. And it's on Wii. And it gives motion control to all of the Metroid Primes. And kind of upscaled them. I mean, better than GameCube resolution. But, you know, to me, that was kind of Metroid Prime Remastered. So I was like, what the heck is Metroid Prime Remastered? Well, it's more of like a real remaster, not a port. So they actually remastered it. You know, went in and changed the everything. Which is insane. But then, at the end of the trailer, they say, available later today. And I about fell out of my chair. I was like, what do you mean? Available later today. What? I couldn't believe it. Why? I can't even begin to fathom why they would shadow drop one of the most critically acclaimed video games ever. I feel like... Ooh, what the heck was that? I feel like it was either... So there's two possibilities. Either one, they somehow have lost a grasp on how big Metroid Prime was, which I don't feel like they could have. Or two, they're working on Metroid Prime 4, and it's getting closer, and they wanted something quick to boost morale in the Metroid series before they announce 4. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that Metroid Prime 4 is finally actually getting close to finished. Not just worked on, but close to finish. and they're like, we need something to get people excited. Metroid Dread already had people excited, but that was a while ago now. So I think they're getting people excited for 4. That's the only explanation. Because for those of you that don't know, that weren't around in the GameCube era, Metroid Prime was one of the most critically acclaimed games of all time. If you look up best video games, it's always in the list. When you look up best GameCube games, it's almost always #1. It is the game. It's the game. It is the GameCube game. It is the one of the games of all time. It is huge. So for them to shadow drop a full remastering of it, I mean, Metroid Trilogy had a huge thing behind it. Like, they were big about Metroid Trilogy. So to just shadow drop a better version of that game, a real remastered Metroid Prime, like, that's nuts. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe they did that. That was absolutely wild. I already saw a bunch of people playing it, and it looks really good too. But yeah, I mean, that game had such a huge impact on so many people. It's huge. Also, one thing I thought was really awesome, so Metroid Prime was big for the first-person shooter genre, but it's also very dated with its control style. I equivalate, is that a word? It's equivalent to GoldenEye 007, where, like, everyone knows it was the pinnacle of shooters back then, and people still go back to it with a lot of nostalgia, but people that are trying to play it nowadays that didn't play it back then have a really hard time with the controls, because it's just a product of its time, right? And Metroid Prime's the same way. It's a product of its time. The way the control works is you don't have dual stick control. Instead, you have to hold R1 to give yourself open control, and then point at something, and then let go of it and lock onto it, and then your camera will stay on them. Otherwise, you're just shooting straight. Which, once you get used to, is fine, just like GoldenEye. But again, you know, if I were to tell someone that's never played Metroid Prime to go play the original Metroid Prime, it would be a bit of a learning curve, right? So, when Metroid Trilogy came out, they gave it motion controls, which you might be thinking, like, ew, motion controls, ew. But with Metroid Prime, it was actually really nice. A lot of people prefer Metroid Prime with motion controls. It just works really well for the game. The lock-on system works really well with motion controls because you can easily look at someone and then lock on instead of having to hold R1, or, you know, on the GameCube, it's just the one R button, and look at them and then lock on. Like, it just works really well with the game. So people actually really liked that. Well, with the Switch version, I thought they just go dual stick control and that's it. But what they did is they actually give you a ton of different control options, and one of the control options is the original control option, which I just think is so incredible. Like, they really have a great understanding of what makes old games important, because so many new games, so many remasters and remakes and everything, they just, whatever the new control style is, they just shove that in. For example, one of the ones I always get the most frustrated with is Final Fantasy VII on PS4. What do? They make X confirm. No option to make circle confirm. They just make X confirm. Why? And it's such a simple thing. It's not like a whole control scheme. It's just one button. You just swap two buttons. But they couldn't even have the courtesy to put in like a little thing that's just like, oh, original versus modern or whatever. Just one button to press just to switch those two buttons. So everyone that grew up with confirm being circle is just confused their entire PS4 playthrough. Like, it's just so annoying. And so I wouldn't expect them to do that with Metroid Prime. I wouldn't expect them to put in a vastly inferior control scheme Let's be honest. It's 100% inferior. But they put it in anyways because they understood that that control scheme was important to gaming back then. People that go back and play the game for nostalgia reasons are going to want the option to do that. And they put it in. That's like so freaking cool. So, mad props for just having the option, for having multiple options. I've heard there's like several control options you can do. And that's just so cool to me that they did that. It's so great to finally see Metroid getting the love. Because there was so many years where Metroid got nothing. And then all they got was that like terrible handheld game. And then they got some spin-off where they were all like Power Rangers. But then Metroid Dread happened. And I think Nintendo finally realized like how important Metroid is and how many people still love Metroid. And so now they're finally giving the series like the full love it deserves. So it's just awesome to see. Yeah, Metroid Prime Federation Force, that's what it was. So, it's like so bad. Okay, what else? Was there anything else? There was that Disney Illusion Island game that looked kind of cool. I thought at first it was gonna be Disney. What's the Mickey's Castle of Illusion, which is an amazing Genesis game, and they made a remake for modern consoles. I thought it was going to be like a sequel to that, but it's actually like its own thing, and it's very multiplayer heavy, but it looks really fun. And it has the style of like the Mickey shows on like Netflix, which is pretty interesting. Then they showed another Octopath Traveler 2 trailer, which I'm really excited about, but the trailer didn't really show much. Then they announced that Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games are finally coming to Nintendo Switch Online. And some pretty big games, too. But, you know, that's something that people wanted a long time ago, so now that we're getting it, it's not as exciting. And I think that was... Oh! The other thing... There was a bunch of like Xenoblade Chronicles expansion pass, Splatoon expansion pass, Fire Emblem expansion pass, Mario Kart 8 tracks, all that stuff that you like expect. The Dead Cells Return to Castlevania got another trailer which looks really cool. There was a Baten Kaitos 1 and 2 HD remaster. Discuss? What is that? Like, I knew Baten Kaitos had a fan base, but I didn't think it was big enough for a 1 and 2 remaster. It looks really cool, though, because from what I understand, Baten Kaitos 1 is really difficult to get into, and 2 has a lot more, like, quality of life, and it looks like they might be adding the quality of life of 2 into 1, kind of like they're doing with Advance Wars. So, that's pretty cool. I know a lot of people like Baten Kaitos, and I didn't expect it to get anything, so that's neat. But the big thing, Sea of Stars, got another trailer. Oh my god, it looks so good. Oh my god, Sea of Stars looks incredible. I can't wait for Sea of Stars. Oh man. If you are not following Sea of Stars, you need to start following Sea of Stars. It looks so good. Holy cow. For those of you that don't know, Sea of Stars is being developed by the same guys that made The Messenger, who are incredible, and their whole story of how they became a studio is incredible. And I like really support them. They're really cool. And Sea of Stars is like a love letter to Chrono Trigger, and it looks incredible. So, definitely put it on your radar if it's not on your radar. Sheepstick, thank you so much for the 15-month primer. I was talking about Nintendo stuff. I didn't miss it, but I was on a tangent. From what I understand, it takes place in the same universe, but it's not necessarily a sequel or a prequel. It's just like in the same universe. So we might see some like messenger characters. But I think they even said, like, I think the developers themselves said that you don't need to play messenger or anything like that. Like anything with the messenger will just be like Easter eggs. I didn't know there was a demo. Oh my god, we gotta play the demo. We're playing the demo next week. Ow. So I think we're done with this area, by the way. Maybe we can go to the next floor. But yeah, a very eventful Nintendo Direct, kind of out of nowhere. Was not expecting so much exciting news. Yeah, so take this with a grain of salt, because I don't really know a ton about Baten Kaitos. From what I understand, it's a very niche card RPG series. I think it just had Baten Kaitos 1 and 2. I believe they were on PS1? No. Wait. GameCube. Both on GameCube. And it's a very niche game that has its fans, but a lot of people don't know what it is. The reason that it got sort of popular in the modern day is because it has a very infamous speedrun that's like over 30 hours long. And so it kind of became a meme whenever people would say, like, whenever people would joke with a streamer about doing like long speedruns, they'd be like, do Baten Kaitos 100%. It's easy. So it became kind of a meme in the speedrun community, so that kind of like boosted its popularity a little bit. But other than that, it was kind of just a niche series that came out. 2 games on the GameCube and then nothing till literally yesterday when they announced a remaster of the 2 games. So we made it. We made it to floor 3, Abyssal. Is this one going to have a boss? Is this one going to be too strong for us? Is it going to have new enemies? Let's find out. Oh. I thought something was happening. Yep. Yeah. I think we covered everything. That took forever. Okay, now we have the bonies out here instead of in the room. So that's interesting. Oh, we have zombies too. Let's get out of here, because as we know, the enemies just keep coming forever. Yes, what's your awesome news, Monkey? You pre-ordered Sea of Stars? Is that your awesome news? I can't wait for these pedestals to take like 900 orbs. Oh my god, I put in 5 and it didn't even make a dent. Oh, you got a PS5, nice. I still have never seen a PS5 at my Walmart. I think they just refuse to take them. Like, they don't want the trouble of owning one. They don't want the trouble of having one. Because I've seen them other places. Like, pretty much everyone around me that wanted a PS5 has gotten one at this point. But still, the Walmart I go to every week, I've never seen one. Oh my god, that took 1,000,000 orbs. 21 orbs for a single pedestal. So is this just all zombies? Man, we are doing some damage.
Yeah.
I am really, really excited for Atomic Heart. I really hope it's good. I fell in love with the trailer they showed. Because, yeah, I'm a big fan of BioShock, and it's kind of a BioShock successor, kind of its own thing, but very BioShocky. So, yeah, it's on my radar. I kind of have to just put games on my radar at this point, because you never know when it comes out and it, like, literally doesn't even function, and then you're like, well, never mind. What is this? Something is... What was the magic pot? I don't really want to mess with the magic pot. Oh, I forgot about that item I picked up. No. We're not fighting the magic pot. What was that item I picked up? I got distracted by Nintendo things. It was this. Oh, nice. That's kind of a rare accessory. It cost a lot. Yeah, Judas looks good too. That chest is what was making that exclamation mark. What happened? Oh, the magic pot's killing us. Yikes. Dude, I don't know about Square, man. Between... I mean, this is the way Square Enix has always been. They always just throw stuff at the wall and hope it sticks. But it's getting frustrating how much they throw up against the wall. Like, they're just like, oh, we'll do a Battle Royale and support it for a year and then kill it. Oh, we'll support a MMO-style Warframe-ish game for like 2 years and then kill it. Oh, we'll support NFT projects but not tell anyone what we're doing and probably just feed the NFT bros and then quit that too. Oh, we'll do like 3 different mobile games and then kill half of them and just keep the one that everyone plays. Like, it's starting to get annoying how much they're willing to just throw not just us, but like their talent into projects and then immediately pull out of it when it's not performing well. Like, I really don't like that. I really don't like that. I get trying new things, but you have... Usually, when companies are throwing stuff against the wall, it's because they're failing. You know? It's because, like, they don't have a big IP, and they need to find a new big IP, so they're just trying a bunch of stuff. But Square Enix has all of the big IPs. They have Final Fantasy. They have Kingdom Hearts. Like, just stick to that. Just keep making your good games. You don't need to throw all these weird projects out. Like, imagine if they didn't do 5,000 projects at once, and they actually put a good team on Chocobo GP. It could have been good. It could have been a Mario Kart rival. If you had Zidane rolling around at the speed of light, you know? If you have Zidane, Ash, and Cecil zooming around in go-karts around Midgar, like, come on. It's a slam dunk. Instead, they're like, let's split our team between Chocobo GP, and by split our team, I mean let's have 2 people work on Chocobo GP, and let's have everyone else work on Forspoken, but not give them a budget. We'll give them $5, and they can make Forspoken, and then we'll give the team working on the Chocobo GP soundtrack $1 million. But we'll just put 2 people on the gaming on the coding of that game. Gameplay, 2 people. Soundtrack, 20 people and $1 million. Forspoken, $10 million, 4 people. Nah. Like, it's just odd. I just wish they would... Ooh. I just wish they would take their team, their massive team, put half of them on Final Fantasy XVI and half of them on Kingdom Hearts. And I know that's not exactly how it works. You have specific people on specific teams. But, you know, like, put your whole company into a project. Because, holy crap, remember the last time they put pretty much their entire company into a project? You remember what happened? The Final Fantasy VII Remake happened. Like, you know what I mean? Like the most successful game they've had in a decade. Just do that again. Just put everyone on Kingdom Hearts 4. Put everyone on Final Fantasy 16. Put everyone, or, you know, if you want to do new projects, put everyone on Forspoken. Because if everyone was on Forspoken, which, okay, Forspoken is a weird one because they didn't entirely develop it. But, you know, Chocobo GP, instead of having some weird side hustle create Chocobo GP and just give them Chocobos, you could have made Chocobo GP, and you could have made it really good. Because a Final Fantasy kart racer is not the worst idea in the world. But it is when you just give it to some random studio and you're like, here, take our Chocobos and make something out of this. Okay, we got a ribbon, which is a big deal. I'm gonna give it to Fran for now, I think. So yeah, I mean, a lot of what they do is good, but I'm starting to get a little sick of their, like, mentality of let's do 97 projects at once and not really put the work into any of them. And they seem to only do a lot of, like, advertising for Final Fantasy. We don't really ever see a lot of advertising for their other projects. Theatrhythm is massive. Theatrhythm could be their next big moneymaker because they already have a huge fan base on mobile and they're putting a lot of work into this console game, and it has several seasons of DLC And they could continue adding to it in the future. They don't have to finish with what they've announced. They could continue to add more. It could be their next big moneymaker, but it doesn't seem like they're putting a lot of effort into advertising it to people other than people that already watch Square Enix's stuff during game shows, or people that are already checking the store and playing the demo they released. Like, I know this is a wild concept, but people like rhythm games even if they don't know where the music is from. You don't need to only market it to Final Fantasy fans. You market this game to everyone who likes rhythm games, and then people will play the rhythm game with the Final Fantasy music in it. Then they'll be like, you know what, this music is so good, I want to go buy some Final Fantasy games. It's not rocket science. You know, you don't need to just market it to the hardcore Final Fantasy people. You could be gaining more Final Fantasy fans through your other style games. Same thing with Chocobo GP. If Chocobo GP was a massive hit and they actually put a ton of work into it, you could have gotten a bunch of kart fans to play it and then thought like, oh, I like these environments, I like this music, I like these characters, and then they would buy a Final Fantasy game and get into Final Fantasy. You have to use, Square needs to use all these side projects to actually like promote their new big games coming out, like Final Fantasy XVI. Instead, it just feels like they throw everything up against the wall and they just try to kind of market to the Final Fantasy fans and honestly kind of scam the Final Fantasy fans into buying these games that they don't really develop themselves. They're like, look, it has chocobos and you like Final Fantasy, you have to buy it, but they didn't even develop it. And it's not even good. Or they have a battle royale where they're like, well, it has Sephiroth in it, you gotta buy it, guys. Even though none of us want a battle royale game. Alright, let's see if I even have enough. Last one took 21 and I only have 19. Okay, that's a good sign. This is still so stupid. No, I didn't see that. Alright, we can explore this area now. I still want to know if there's like a boss, but I keep getting really good stuff and then backing out so I don't lose it. If I run into a boss, good chance I die. Yeah, we got 2 already, but now we're like almost out of orbs. Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, Square Enix is so huge now that I feel like they want to be a big part of the market. They don't want to just do their thing. They want to expand. They've always been about expansion anyways. So, like, it makes sense, but it's just kind of frustrating from a consumer aspect of... It feels like they're just always shoveling us these games and not really focusing on what we feel like they should be focusing on. Pick up the orb. Oh my god, dude, these orbs are so hard to pick up. They disappear so fast. And I'm all like, if I cast a spell, I can't pick it up until after the spell's done. And, you know, from my perspective, it does not seem like many of these things make them much money. Given that they give up on these projects super quick. They give up on the project super quick that it's like, well, if you don't have faith in it, then we certainly aren't going to have faith in it. Super secret! Think about the 27 months. Yeah, and I get maximizing your profits, but I'm looking at it from a profit aspect and saying, like, I don't think they make much money off this stuff. It seems like they would make more money if they just got Kingdom Hearts 4 made within the next decade instead of always doing other projects. But, you know, perhaps they've learned what a lot of other companies have learned, like Bethesda and Blizzard, where if you just make a mobile game every year, you can suck in all the whales and just suck up all the whale money and then just discontinue the game like months later and just do it over and over again every year. And it works, unfortunately, because whales don't seem to get the idea that, like, none of these games last very long. Like, the mobile companies that do mobile games, they last a long time. But these big companies that do mobile games, they don't stick with it. They're just here for the whale cash, and then they're out. Like, I get being a whale for, like, a 10-cent game that's been out for, like, 10 years and is still supported. That I get. But being a whale for, like, Diablo Immortal is just asking to get ripped off. You're just asking for all that money you spent to be useless in like 10 months when they cancel the game. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of, in a lot of ways, that's the plan. Suddenly, a lot of ghosts. Also, I'm slow, which is not good. Skates, though. Hurry up on, hurry up on, hurry up on, hurry up on, hurry up on. Trying to line up the enemies here. We got out of that predicament. Yeah, so I have Fran with a ribbon, and I also have Fran with a gambit. That if we get, I think it's blinded or confused, she'll use Esunaga. The problem is she died. So we never got Esuna'd. and things got scary. But we survived. She got blasted by something. Another circlet, nice. I don't really have a use for that because Ash already has one. Yeah, I just got one like 10 minutes ago. How's it going, Aaron? I got it in the chest. The chests down here are nuts. They can give you some wild stuff. Finally. After the whole game of chests giving me knots. Which some of the chests down here also give me knots, but some of them actually have good stuff.